Hey, True Believers, Teen here with another comic book origins. In this case, we are talking about Bone. Now, if you've heard me speak of 90s comics at all, you know that Bone is one of my favorite books of all time. I think this is an amazing comic strip. It's been described as a Lord of the Rings style tale, except for funnier. So, created by Jeff Smith when he was 10. He was very influenced by Pogo and Carl Barks. He wanted to write this huge adventure story, so he got all of his influences, you know, Moby Dick, Huckleberry Finn, and he put them together to create Bone. Now, I thought, wait a second, okay, didn't he do something before? I mean, didn't they say they produced something before issue number 1? And I went and looked, and yes, Thorn Tales from the Lantern or something like that was a college book that he produced and sold at college campuses, and now it's going for like $1,000, so I couldn't get a hold of that. However, I did find out that it was released as a reprint in another book, so I found that one instead because it's a lot cheaper. This was a commissioned video, and I would like to say a thank you to Chrononaut for commissioning this. I love Bone. I'm very excited to check this out. If you guys want to commission a video, just go on over to Ko-Fi. Links in the description below. Pick out a subject, pick out a topic, and we'll get the video out to you as soon as possible. Now let's dive into Before Bone. Let's check out these comic strips that are supposedly the first appearance of Bone and see how much they've improved, how much has been used for the books itself. I'm very interested in this. This might be really cool. So the comic strips actually start off very familiar as Thorn sees Bone. Why, hello there. Whoops, hi. My name's Thorn, and Bone just stares at her. Are you new around here? Phone Bone, what's yours? This is almost straight out of the book, or at least, I guess, going to be put into the book. And she's saying, anyway, I live over there with my grandmother, but I spend most of my time in the forest. And he's Bone's all, oh, I'm so happy. I'll have to introduce you to all my friends. They're all animals. You could talk to animals, can't you, Phone Bone? This is it. I'm going to tell her how beautiful she is. Farverflibber. Brain to mouth. Did you hear what you just said? Next up, we get another passage that's almost right out of the comic book or put right into it, where Ted, the bug, introduces Bone to his bigger brother, who's incredibly huge. He says, that's the biggest potato chip I've ever seen. I heard that. And this, of course, sends Bone into a little bit of a funk, and he's sitting there saying, I've been accosted by a dragon, now a giant aphid. What else could possibly happen to me? And we see the rat creatures coming up on him saying, look, comrade, it is he. If it is not, we shall kill it. And Bone's about to fall asleep. You know, I'm probably going to be sorry I had said that. The rat creatures say that this was not the one they were looking for and decide they're going to eat Phone Bone. But the dragon shows up. The rat creatures think the dragon's a little guy. He steps up. He's all muscular and stuff, and they run away. Bone says, hey, why'd you let him go? He breathes a little fire on him and says, never play an ace when a two will do. Cut to Thorn playing in the flowers. She says, oh, what a beautiful day. I can feel it in the air. Today is the day a tall, dark, handsome hero will come galloping into my life and sweep me away. And, of course, Bone comes up. And so does her big, huge, muscular man who says, hey, Thorn, baby. Yes, Reggie. But then her big, muscular man does show up and picks her up, sweeps her off her feet, says, hey, Thorn, baby. Yes, Reggie. Let's leave and go shopping, get you some real clothes, some makeup. Why, we might even be able to turn you into a real woman. And, of course, Rose kicks his butt for it. You know, I'm starting to see why he turned this into a book. I mean, it's enjoyable, it's entertaining, but it's kind of the same joke over and over again. You need a little progression here. As a matter of fact, it says so right here. So at the very end, it's like sometimes the humor of this strip escapes me. We do get to meet Bessie, her big brain, grandma's brain clobbering stick. And it is of note that grandma does look a bit different. She's a lot thinner here and looks a bit younger, as a matter of fact. After Phony makes it to the town, he's looking for somebody to scam. And he finds there's a clown, a guy with money. He looks at the guy with money, says, oh, I got to follow this dude. And then sees that the clown is just stuffing money bags into a bigger bag. Asks him, okay, what's the scam? He says, life after death. and he's offering more. So I don't know if it's a stab at religion or anything like that, but Phony Bone is definitely in. And Ted decides to go searching for help for Phone Bone and Thorny Bone. Phone Bone and Thorn. I'm getting these names a little bit mixed up. And the guy's like, hey, what's up? What kind of trouble are they in? Well, last time I saw them, they were surrounded by rat creatures. Wow, that's a bummer. So I was wondering if you were planning to do anything about it? So I figured out what's going on. Okay, I'm not glomming onto this as much. I mean, it's okay. It's not bad. It's just there's no rhythm to it, and I think I realized why. Even in adventure comic strips, there would be a cliffhanger at the end of every strip, for the most part anyway. In this one, it really does want to be a comic book rather than the comic strips it's written into. Oh, okay, I didn't get it the first time, but this panel right here is saying that it's Jeff Smith. Ted the Bug pops out of the cartoon to say, hey, Jeff, are you going to draw a hero or something like that? Look at them. They're in danger. Why don't you jump in? He's like, I can't jump into the cartoon, but I'm human. And he's like, you got to do something. And Jeff's all like, oh, that was a dirty trick, Bug. So Jeff steps into the cartoon that he draws, trying to be a hero, but they pull his hat down over his face and then pants him. And he walks over to Thorn and Bone. Well, gave it my best shot. I guess I better be going. That night, while Phony Bone escorts Thorn to meet Reverend Foulward, the defeated rat creatures return to their lair. The hooded figure on the throne beckons them forward. Come, stand before me. I see that you have failed me. You have not brought the small one to me. Have you an explanation? Yes, O liege, we have been deceived. There are two of the small ones, and the one called Phone Bone is a friend of the dragon. It is his fault. Phone Bone, I see. It's him. Finally, I have found him. Grandma Ben might start trouble. I better watch her. At last, I will try that again. At last, I shall have my payment. Hey, Phone Bone, how you doing? Eh? Oh, no, it is the small one's friend. Phony, I've been looking all over for you. You have been spared for now, Phony Bone. Okay, this strip's just confusing. It starts off with Phony Bone and Phone Bone fighting over the money-making schemes. Then they see Rose coming up with an end is nigh kind of sign. And all of a sudden, Phone's holding a baby rat creature saying, no, go home, it's just a baby. And so Rose goes home. It doesn't fit. It's like there's a missing scene somewhere. But we find out that Phony Bone actually scammed Foulward out of all of his money, and he plans on do things with the money, but Grandma and Thorn comes up, and he's like, okay, maybe I'll just pay them back for all the chickens we have. And they're sitting around kind of laughing and smiling and being happy about the fact that Phony's doing the right thing. Cut to Bone and the bear cub. It turns out it's a bear. Are on an adventure, and they're pointing out animals that they come across, and then it talks about how Phone Bone okay, here we go. Phone Bone and the young cub set out across the valley toward the cub's home in the mountains. Believing that he could make the trip in a single afternoon, Phone Bone put his faith in the little bear's sense of direction, and then it's nighttime, they're sitting on the edge of a cliff, and it's starting to look like that wasn't such a hot idea. Cut to the meeting of Rockjaw, and I figured it out. This, before Bone, these must be just samples. It has to be, because there's big old scenes missing, because if he's just meeting Rockjaw right now. Come, which is it? Are you with them or him? Who's them? Who's him? Them, the old woman and her granddaughter, the townspeople, the dragon. But who's him? Surely you know of him. He wears a hood pulled down over his face. The hooded man? That t-shirt you just described, it belongs to my cousin, Phony Bone. Your cousin, you say. See, you didn't describe any t-shirt here. Yeah, what have you heard about him, and how do you know about Thorn and Grandma Ben? So many questions. Well, I know much that goes on in these parts, little man. I am called Rookjaw. I am master of the eastern border. Yeah, well, Mr. Rockjaw, we're not impressed, are we, little bit? Hey, where'd he go? And then, holy Toledo, do we get an exposition dump from Rockjaw telling basically the setup and the story of the big wars that go on in the comic book. It's actually kind of interesting, but it's so long I'm not going to read it here, gang. Anyway, there you go, gang. That's the first appearance of Bone. in the original comic book strips, I have to say it's very interesting to see how the story progressed, the evolution of the story. That being said, it's almost like reading a Cliff Notes of a guy who wasn't there quite yet. You know, sometimes you hear about that. Look, your art is not ready for prime time just yet. Go home, work on it for a little bit. And I'm glad he did, because even though I got to say I enjoyed it, but it wasn't great. That being said, the finished product is. And I think that makes it very interesting to check out those original strips at the very least. So anyway, that's what I think about this. What do you think about the strips, the whole 9 yards? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to click like, share, subscribe. Ring that notification bell, because that's all YouTube really cares about. And if you want to see another one of these comic book origins, just wait for the credits and click on whatever shows up there. Awesome things happen around these parts. And please help the channel going over to Patreon or Ko-Fi. Drop $1 in the till, and maybe even consign your own video. We'll get that out to you as quickly as possible. Just pick your topic, your subject, and there you go. I'd like to thank everybody who's already done that, and to everyone, all of the true believers, thank you very, very much for watching.